I'm 78.
And I'm 76.
78 and 76. So tell me, what does it feel like to be 76 years old?
Oh, well, some days it feels like I'm 50, and some days it feels like I'm 95.
Well, it's a great answer. Tell me, why does it feel like, why the big age gap, and why do you feel that way?
Well, basically, when you get older, you have days that you feel really good, and then there's days where you maybe get sick and you don't feel so good. So on the good days, you feel younger, and on the days that you're sick, you feel old.
Yeah, that's definitely tough. Obviously, no one wants to go through that, but I mean, we're all eventually going to get there at some point, right?
It's life. That's what happens when you're living in whatever.
What does it feel like to be 78?
Pretty much the same. Happy to still be here. Had a good life. Worked 41 years at the same company. So it was a good experience, and it allowed me to live fairly comfortably at my age. So I appreciate that. For the most part, I'm healthy, and it's all good.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you two look very healthy, so and happy, and I'm glad to see that. And two sisters, right? What advice would you give yourself back in your 20s?
Advice I would give back when I started to work and everything is, dedicate yourself to your job. Make sure that you're giving 100% all the time to everything that you're doing. Listen to others so that you can learn, and just grow with the times. That's pretty much what I would have done, or what I did do, and it was successful for me. So, but I also have to tell you that it is very difficult now to relate to the way things are today. And we were so different back then. Everything was different. You had a job, you stuck with it.
Right.
We were lucky enough to have pensions and benefits, and so now we're benefiting from that. Today, young people seem to want to keep moving and moving and moving, and for me, because I was different, it seems like not the right thing to do. That's just an old person's comment.
No, it's very true. A lot of us young people, we're so fast paced, go, right? So I completely agree with that. So I appreciate that you're giving the words of wisdom, right? Well, so that's great.
Basically, I feel that, like Linda, you have to give your 100% or 120% sometimes. I think we learned to work as children. We lived on a farm, so we had to clean stables, we had to milk cows, we had to work. And I think children nowadays are given everything. They don't really teach them how to work, I don't think. And nobody fails at anything anymore. Like when we went to school, if you didn't pass, you failed. So you learn to accept failure and deal with it. And I don't believe that's happening now with children. And I think that's why there's so many suicides in young people, because they get out in the real world and they don't know how to handle failure.
Yes.
That's my take.
Yeah, that's deep, but it's true, right? A lot of the younger generation, they just don't know how to handle and how to cope with all the stress.
Exactly.
And they're thrown with a lot of different things these days, especially with social media.
Yeah.
And social media can be good, it can be really good, it can be toxic, right? It just depends on how you use it. You can learn you can get a lot of valuable things from it, and some things not so much.
That's coming just from a different generation, obviously, and this is where, when I said it's hard to keep up with the changes for us older folks, because we were in a different generation and things were different. And now you've got, like you say, all the social media. If you're older, it's harder to keep up with that. There's an expectation that old people will do that, and sometimes we're frowned upon. So
which is unfortunate. I don't think the older generation should be frowned upon. They've got a lot of knowledge behind them, and that's why I'm here today, right? I want to try to get as much as you can from the older generation. That's how we learn and how we grow together, right?
I think another thing that we don't teach our children enough is how to handle money. When you work, you need to set some aside for a bad day or a bad week or something. You need to set some aside for your retirement if you want to have a decent retirement. And there's so much money spent on frivolous things now with young people, I think. Like they all have to have a brand new Apple phone when they came out, Every couple years they have a big, maybe $100 year monthly fee.
Like a phone plan.
And like I have a $40 phone plan. Well, lots of people have a $100 phone plan. And so you gotta learn to
Live within your means.
live within your means and save for the future.
And I would add to that, when we grew up, there was no such thing as a credit card. You got your paycheck every week or 2 weeks or whatever. You either spend it all on frivolous stuff and had nothing left, or you bought the things you needed, and if you had anything left, then you bought the things you wanted. So when you bought your first house, you had a mortgage and you had to pay that mortgage. So that's where your money went, and you didn't have the opportunity to spend on stuff that wasn't really necessary. Your paycheck was all you had. You could take a loan out, but then you had to pay that back too. So really, you had to live off what you earned.
And no
people
credit
don't do
cards
that.
no fake money.
no, nothing where you could spend beyond your means. That was how we grew
That's
up.
smart.
So yeah.
That's really smart.
Yeah, the only thing you could do is you could buy something on layaway, but you wouldn't get it until you made the last payment. So that was the only way you could, kind of have a credit card, but it really wasn't a credit card because you...
Now, I was young enough to remember layaway, but I never used it, so I
used it a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of our old folks' way of living. So
Perfect. What makes you happy in life?
for me, it's being able to get together with family, my grandchildren, my siblings, just enjoying their time with me, because as you get older, you don't really know how much more time you got left.